Hello teacher, in this moment I'm going to talk about energy genova reproductive. Hello doctora, good afternoon. First question, why renewable energy is important in actuality?
Renewable energy. When we are talking about renewable energy, we need to talk definitely on the word sustainability. Is because if something is sustainable, we are looking for the next generation. The next generation must have the same resources that we already have in this moment. And in the case of energy, all of our system or actual system is moved by petroleum or by fuel. And this is fossil fuel, for example, is if we keep using the fossil fuel, it's like a fossil thinking, because we are talking about something that is not going to remain for a long time. We're having, for example, reserves of fossil fuel are predicted to last for the next 40 years. So I think that maybe your grandsons, for example, they need to look for another source of energy. So renewable energy is definitely a bridge right now, but it's going to be the next uses, is going to be the main energy or the principal source of energy on the future, definitely, because we're not going to have any longer a fuel, gas oil any longer for the future.
Okay. Which are the main source for use of renewable energy?
Main sources of renewable energy. Okay, it depends on where you're living. For example, for us, could be sun or sunshine, because we do have a lot of radiation, solar radiation, in this latitude of the world. Because when we are closest to the equator, closest to the sun, we're going to have a lot of energy radiation from the sun. And this is a very important resource. But for example, when you're living on the north, next to the North Pole, or next to the South Pole, for example, there's going to be less radiation, and the resource is not going to be as available as we have here. But they can have another kind of resources, for example, wind power, or for example, biomass. And you need to take a look of the kind of resources when you are that are available in your own country or in your own region. And this is important in order to develop a renewable energy project. And it's not like a general case depending on the place where you are living. So you need to take care about it.
In Honduras, what is the most important type of renewable energy?
I will not say the most important. I will say the most abundant or the most useful source of renewable energy, and definitely is the biomass. Almost more like 50% of the population, Honduran population, use biomass as their only source of energy. And this is the older rural communities and all the rural zones that we have in Honduras. They are using, for example, firewood for cooking, firewood for heating, firewood for even lighting inside their houses or their homes. So I will say that is the most abundant or the most useful source of renewable energy here in Honduras. But we do have another resources. For example, right now we're looking forward to the implementation of more photovoltaic projects. At the beginning, our main energy source of electricity was, for example, hydropower for a long time. And right now we're looking for an additional wind power projects and photovoltaic projects. So it depends on which kind of things are you looking for when you're talking about renewable energy.
Thank you, doctora. Please continue, my friend.
Hi, teacher. Is the second seasonal questions for Dr. CORTEZ. The question number 4 is, what's your opinion about the advantages of the improved tubes in Honduras, and in base of your experience, what is the future of the improved tubes in this country?
Okay. First of all, when we talk about biomass, and when we're talking about renewable resources as biomass, what we are looking for is for some kind of technology that will improve or that will reduce the firewood consumption, and it will be more, for example, efficient in order to develop less impacts, environmental impacts all around the palm tree. Okay, if you're using, for example, the biomass as your only energy source, and if you're using, for example, also a technology that is not efficient because you're having a lot of losses of heat and other ways of energy, for example, so then you're going to need more resource to have the same results. So if you make this change of technology, that is what we are doing when we are, for example, promoting the improved stoves on the communities, on the rural development, then you are promoting some kind of device that will give you the same results and that will give you the same amount of energy that you're needing in your home, but you will use like the half or less biomass that you used to use for this kind of purpose. Okay, so this is the most important thing when we're talking about improved stoves. First of all, you will need to take a look about all the advantages of this kind of technology. Not only the firewood consumption is going to be reduced in a very, at least 50% of the original firewood consumption will be reduced when you just change the technology. The other point is, for example, the benefits regarding the health issues of the households. For example, when you are working with a traditional stove, like I don't know, maybe 8 hours per day, you are exposed to an amount of smoke that is equal to almost 20 cigarette boxes. So the people that are always cooking, that is out of the households, all the women inside homes and even the children, they can develop, for example, this kind of problems on their breathing and in their lungs because of the smoke exposition. Yeah. So these are we calling the indoor pollution, and this is because of the emissions, the gas emissions that comes from the technology. So when you change from a traditional stove, you change the traditional stove for an improved stove, you will reduce this kind of emissions even in almost 80%. So you will really improve the health of the households that are using this kind of improved stoves. Also, in an indirect way, for example, if you're using less biomass, you will not going to make some pressure on the forest, for example, because right now we're having a lot of pressure. It is because the communities needs the firewood as a source of energy, so they're looking for the wood into the forests. So if you're using less firewood, the pressure on this kind of resources is going to be less, and this is another thing that is very important. And when you are making for example, the accountability of the total emissions of this kind of, because you're burning the firewood, so you're going to have like the same gases that it's in a combustion process. For example, there's the CO2, carbon monoxide, and particulate matter. And when you have less biomass that is burned, so then you will have, of course, less emissions. And this is important when you're talking about, for example, climate change and mitigation processes. So, and I think that these are one of the most important benefits when you are changing the technology. Just little change. You will have the same results, you will have the same benefits, for example, or the same quality of life, and even improve when you are having a change of technology for this kind of stoves.
Okay, and what is the influence in use of improved stoves?
Influence
In the communities, or also in Honduras?
I don't understand what do you mean with the influence? Or
I think the correct idea is that nowadays the improved stoves have an important influence in Honduras, also most in the community, because people of the communities are the like experiment the stoops.